Writers, Novelio's plotting portal just dropped and it's amazing. We've exceeded our own expectations. I am so excited to show this to you. Also, it's like 120 degrees outside and I am roasting. So if I start to glisten, that's why. So let's dive into a Novelio plotting tutorial. Okay, so clicking on a story. We've gone through the character portal before and the world building portal. So let's take a look at the plotting. When you first open it up, it's going to take you to the master scene list. This is like your default home page view of plotting, and this will carry all of your chapters and scenes and any notes that you've taken and any time tags that you've created in the whole plotting portal. If you create these anywhere, they will all show up on this master scene list. And you can have scenes loose, like bullet points, like if you're just this happens, then this happens, then this, then you can keep it just like that, a list of scenes. Or if you're ready for chapters, you can group them into chapters. There's lots of different ways of adding scenes into Novelio. These buttons right here will add a new chapter or a new scene to the bottom of your list. So here we have a scene. So I'm going to double click on it. Okay, so I have a scene there. I can also slide a scene from over here below. So now I have two scenes, and I can just leave it like this. I can create scenes as I go, or I can add a chapter and put those scenes into the chapter. And so now both of those scenes are tagged into chapter 1. Each scene also has its own scene sheet. If you click its edit button, it takes you to that scene. Now we've got 4 different templates that you can use. There's the detailed sheet that has lots of information, or you can set your default template to a minimal one. There's also a Story Genius scene sheet, and then there is a scene roadmap by Sarah Cannon, who's awesome. No matter what scene sheet you use, there are 4 fields that remain the same throughout. The scene point, which is its name or its description. The point of view, so you can tag one of your characters. There's something outside my window. So you can tag whose point of view that scene is from. Character list, so you can say who's in that scene. And any notes that you add. So those 4 fields will remain the same no matter which scene sheet template you're using. I can also create a note. Typing my new note here, whatever you want it to be. So that's adding notes and scenes and chapters into your master list of plotting elements. So this is the simplest way to use Novelio's plotting portal, is to just create this list of chapters and scenes, add some notes if you have notes, and one step further is using the scene sheets to detail out how your scene is moving your plot forward. Going a level beyond that simple master scene list, you can create another plotting workspace to test out or use templates of some popular plotting methods. So to do that, you go up to your tabs up here, you click the plus button, and you can create a blank workspace, which is exactly what it implies. It's just a blank space for you to add your scenes and notes and tags in whatever way that you want. Or from the drop-down menu, you can choose one of the templates. So starting with, let's say, 7-Point Story Structure by Dan Wells. When you click on it, you're not selecting it yet, you're just previewing that template. So here I can see all of the beats of that template. We can hover over the tooltips to get more information, and we can click on an example to see how these well-known stories play out in this particular story structure. Up here's a description to help understand which type of stories would benefit from this plotting method, and there's usually links to YouTube videos or instructional books or websites to help you better understand it. So that's Dan Wells' 7-Point Story Structure. Let's check out the classic hero's journey. So here we have all the beats of the hero's journey. We can learn about them, we can read up on them, and if this is the one we want, then we click Create Timeline. So now I have my master scene list default, but I also have a workspace with the hero's journey plotting template. So any scenes I've created are over here, and I can drag them into the template, or I can drag new scenes into the template. I can add new beats if I think that it's missing a beat that I want to add. I can add time tags, which is a way to keep track of any important dates or time to help keep track of what's going on. There's also a list of any notes or any time tags that I've created anywhere in the plotting portal. I can also add different note types. So let's say I want this one to include any of the romance notes. And we'll change that one to pink since it's romance, right? So I can slide in one of my notes that I've already done, or I can add a new note. Let's add a pink one into the template. I can take a scene that I've already written and slide it over. I can add multiple scenes into the beats. I can put scenes loose in the timeline. Here, let's add a time tag that this starts on New Year's Eve. So I'm going to scooch that back up in there, and I'm going to delete that from the timeline. Now, even when I'm deleting something from the timeline, it doesn't go away. It's still in your sidebar. It's just not cluttering up the current workspace that you're working on. You can also slide new scenes into the timeline. Now here, these ones are just telling me that those scenes in the master scene order have been organized into chapter 1. Now this reset button will reset the whole template, and so it will move your scenes out and correct any additions or deletions that you added to this template. This gear is where you delete the whole workspace, or you can edit it, which would be editing its description or getting rid of the examples. Okay, I'm going to switch over to a different story that has more data in it. So here we have this story. Now my master scene list has a lot of scenes, and I've put those scenes into chapters. I also have some notes that I've taken, and there's some time tags too that I've been using elsewhere in the app. And I can click on these scenes and edit their scene sheet. Each character in a scene, you can add their internal goals and mark whether or not they're completed. And side note, any characters that are tagged into a scene, when you go to their character profile, you'll now be able to see which scenes this character appears in. So let's go back to this master scene list, and let's check out a template. So here, I've been using this template for this story because it just makes sense. And I can slide whatever scenes that I have been working on. I can pull them into this template to see if I'm hitting all my beats, like I'm auditing my plot. Or I just plot the whole thing from the beginning into a story structure outline. Now there's a couple of cool features that you can use. This circle is where you can mark if this is a scene or a chapter that you've already written. Let's put some notes in here. That one goes there. This conversation was down there. There's also some really cool filters that you can use. These sidebar filters will affect the scenes and the notes that are in your master sidebar. And these timeline filters will affect your view here in the main workspace. So here's my timeline. I want to hide all the notes. And so if I click that, the notes go away. I can show the chapter numbers, or I can hide the chapter numbers. I can show or hide any time tags I've added, and I can show or hide my point of view tags. So for this story, I haven't been putting point of view because my whole novel is written from one character's point of view. But let's just say that we had multiple point of views. To clean up this space, I can also filter and show those tags or hide them. So you can use what features you want, or you can keep it really, really simple with just your master scene list. Okay, but what if you want to have a timeline just for a side character, or just for a subplot? Or what if you need a timeline of backstory? Or is this dual point of view and you want one timeline to reflect just that character's point of view and one timeline to reflect the other character's point of view? Or let's say you're writing a story with like multiverses or time travel or whatever it is. You might have the need to create multiple timelines or multiple threads. So that's one reason why you might want to create a blank timeline. Another reason is if you want to use a template, but we don't have the template that you want, or you want to create your own template. Maybe you've mastered your own template that works really, really well for your stories. Then you can start with a blank timeline and add the beats and the acts and create that timeline for yourself. And in the future, you'll be able to save that as your own custom timeline. For me, I want to create a timeline of just the romance arc. So I can create a blank one, and here's my blank workspace, and I can drag everything in there that reflects just the romance arc of this story. Another option is I can add another template for one of the romance outlines. And so I have this method for romance, and I have this method for the plot action of my story, and I can see the scenes in my master list, pull them into those different templates, and see how they play out in those different methods. So for here's my blank template, and I'm just going to put in the scenes that pertain to my romance arc because I want to see how that plays out in my story. So I'm going to go through and add those, all these pink tags. Those are the ones I did for the romance notes. And so I have those playing out, and then I have the scenes that go after them. And so now I'm building a timeline of just the things that pertain to their love story. And so here is my simple custom timeline that I can mess around with without messing up my master scene list of manuscript story order. And up here I can go back and forth. Here's my romance arc. Here's my action being played out in this plotting method. And here is my clean list of scenes. Now up here you can toggle between the different sidebars. Right now we're in the plotting sidebar, but we can always go back to our AI chat image generator or to our main Novelio navigation menu. If this seems overwhelming, like there's too much going on here, there are ways of simplifying it. You can use the filters to clear information out of the way that you don't want to look at. Let's say you're happy with your master list of scenes and you want to use the templates, but you don't necessarily want to pull scenes from the list and put them into your template. Then instead of having all these scenes in here, you can choose a template, but in your template, you can just type short descriptions. And you can type in as much as you want. This can get big. And so that way it's not as overwhelming and you can keep things simple. You can go back and forth between your master scene list, and then you can pop over to your story structure template to follow along and make sure you're hitting all of those important beats. You can use a blank workspace in any way that you can dream up, or you can go all in and put scenes and time tags and notes and point of view tags and all of those things into a template and get all the details on the page. Now remember how I mentioned before that you can see which scene a character is in? So if I go back to my navigation menu and I click on my characters, I'm going to check out Halo. And look, she's in like every scene, right? Because it's her point of view. So down here, in her character profile, her scene list is huge. It's basically all the scenes. Or let's check out her brother. He doesn't have as many. And so as you're going through, maybe you're working on the sequel, you can look back on the first book's information. Where did that character show up? What was going on there? And you can see exactly what scenes they're in. You can even click on them and it will take you to the scene sheet for that scene. And just how those scenes that are displayed on a character profile are clickable, so are the tags that are in your scene sheet. So again, I was showing you lots of different ways of using the plotting portal. Choose the way that works best for you. Have fun with it. If you've got other ideas for us that you want to see added to the plotting portal, leave a comment below. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Now, if you're a plotter, go get plotting. If you're a pantser, go finish writing so you can audit the plot after the fact and make sure you've hit all the points. As always, happy writing, happy plotting, happy editing, all the things, because the world needs your stories.